seeking the kingdom of God. Why do millions die? As we are sitting in this place, in this country, millions are dying. Do you know that? There are so many people at this very right time being abused. Do you know that? Small children, small girls, abused at this time as we are here in this place. Do you know that? How many of you know that there are many sitting there in the drug houses, lost in the world? How many of you know people in the prostitute homes at this very moment? Millions, millions, millions die. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added. How shall they be saved? How shall they be saved? We have just sang a song, for when you call the name of the Lord, ye shall be saved. How shall those people call on the name of the Lord? How shall those people dying call on the name of the Lord to be saved? How shall they be saved? Can we see that in the book of Romans? Turn to me with the book of Romans chapter 10. Romans is a very wonderful book. Chapter 10, verse 13, verse 14. I'm going to read to you, bringing your mind to another focus today. Seek ye the kingdom of God first. Romans chapter 10 verse 13 declares, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How shall those people be saved? How shall that man on that street, the beggar that we saw last night sitting outside their shop, there was a crippled in the wheelchair sitting out in that store when we entered in. He was just asking for 1 real. Do you remember that? How shall he be saved? How many garbage cleaners there? How many people, how many small children on the streets? How many people have no dress to wear? Are you aware of that? There are still people in the world today at this very moment, girls 16 years old, girls 17 years old, girls 18 years old, have no clothes to wear. It's not a story. You and I are clothed like this. Weekly purchasing of clothes for our children. Monthly purchasing clothes for our children. There is still places. Adolescent young girls have no clothes. Do you know that? They literally have no clothes. They are just waiting for somebody who would come and give them clothes to wear. Roaming about around the men community without clothes. I'm bringing your focus to somewhere today. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. How many ladies being abused at this very moment we are sitting here in this country? Ladies being abused. Do you believe? We are sitting as families, husbands and wives. Can you see that lady there crying in that house, in that corner? The man just went out, leaving her to somebody else. Have you been there? Have you been there? He just walked out. The children crying in the house for food is not a story, it's a reality today. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and these things shall be added. Have Have you known fruits in the trees being left like that? Storms came, wind came, the fruit ripened, fell down, spoiled. It is spoiled. At this very moment, how many housemaids in this country? How many? How many housemaids? Abused. Abused. How shall they be saved? For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How shall that lady be saved? I am speaking of things happening in this country where we are right now. She was in the airport 1 month ago. A lady, probably she was abused. They are terminating her. She's in the airport. Suddenly, I heard she started removing the clothes from her head and running about. In this airport, my dear friends, it's not somewhere I'm speaking about, here in this city. Slowly she starts removing her clothes and runs about in the airport. She starts running, she's running in the airport. She got mad. She got mad. She got mad. The fruit is ripened. A storm came. It died. It spoiled. She became mad 1 month ago, a woman. They are taking her to the hospital. She's speaking something. Probably she was abused. How shall they call on the name of the Lord? How shall they be saved? That man want to have this lady. He abused this lady. And he brought many men to be with her. She refused. The woman of the house pushes this lady, the housemaid, to her husband. She refused. She brought many men. I'm speaking something happening in this very moment, a reality. She refused. The maid refused. The woman of the house takes the flat iron, the one we iron the clothes. Have you known that? The man started smoking cigarettes, punching in her flesh, holes in her body, holes in her arms. You and I, clothed like this, meeting every need of our families. You and I planning so many things. The man has punched cigarettes into her arms, into her legs. The woman took that iron and she presses it. Hot iron. My friends, seek ye first the kingdom of God. She went and she opened the window and she jumped. She got mad. She got mad. You and I are so normal in this country. Going to work every day, meeting the needs of our families, planning our futures and planning our future and planning our future. I beseech you by the mercies of God. I beseech you by the mercies of God that you offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and acceptable unto the Lord, which is your reasonable service. She jumped out of that window. She got mad. The fruit is spoiled, my dear brother. The fruit has ripened. Nobody has harvested it. The fields are ripe, no harvest. no harvest. How shall they be saved? How shall they be saved? They are lost without Jesus Christ. The book of Romans says something so marvelous. Verse 13. Romans chapter 10, verse 13. How then can they call on the name of the Lord? How then can they call on the one they have not believed? How can they believe in the one whom they have not heard at all? Untold millions are dying untold today. How can they hear without someone preaching to them? How can they preach unless they are sent? Unless they are sent? This is the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 13, verse 14. And how shall they preach unless they are sent? Unless they are sent. Jesus loved this world so much. He gave his life for this world. But the world gave it just like that into the hands of Hitler. Hitler took it over. The lukewarm church gave it. Gave it to Napoleon. Napoleon took over. Mass assassinations, mass murders, people getting killed in masses, dying because they didn't know a Jesus who could save them, because the church didn't do its work properly. In the early days, the apostles, I'll tell you one verse. In the book of Acts chapter 5, it says, the apostles were daily in the temple, praising God. They were daily gathering in the houses, in every house. I want you to display this wonderful verse in the book of Acts chapter 5. Verse 42. Acts chapter 5. Yeah. They were daily in the temple. Acts chapter 5 verse 42. Yeah, verse 42. Acts chapter 5 verse, yes. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach and preach Jesus Christ. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach, preach Jesus Christ. The drug houses are doing it daily, day and night, because the church did not do it. The prostitute homes are just doing it day and night. They have business day and night because the church and every house failed to teach and preach Jesus Christ. That's why the prostitute homes are doing their business, because the church failed to do its business. The house failed to do its business. And he is doing his business. Day and night the movie houses are open. The cinema theaters are open day and night. They are doing his business because every house did not do its business. Did not do its business. The church fails to do its business. And I mean business. When I speak business, this is my business, because I speak to Satan. This is my business. We are making business with Satan. This is his business, this is my business. I wouldn't let his business come and interfere me. My business is teaching and preaching Jesus Christ. Cease not to teach. If the house fails, and if the church fails to do it, the drug addicts are doing it, the liquor houses are doing it, the disco houses are doing it, the dancing floors are doing it, because every house failed to do it. Every church failed to do it. Daily, how many churches have services every day, gathering people, teaching and preaching? Hardly every church has 2 or 3 meetings per week. But the disco houses have 7 days, their work, their business. They have their business. The liquor houses have business 7 days in a week, where the church has 2 days and 3 days to give. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. Will be added. Go back to the book of Romans. I'm going to tell you something. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. Yes, verse 13, verse 14, verse 15. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Are you there with me in the book of Romans? Yeah. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. I'm here with this. Give me a moment to take the book of Romans, chapter 10. How shall they be saved? What is our focus today in this country? God has brought us into this country many, many miles far away. What is his plan? What is his purpose? And what are we doing in this place where there are so many drug addicts? There are still in this country so many prostitute houses. There are still in this country people drinking, making liquor and drinking. There are still beggars on the streets. There is still abuses everywhere in this country. And we, people of God, are we lukewarm? Are we going to seek the kingdom of God? Are you going to seek the kingdom of God? Reach out. To reach out to somebody on the street. How to preach the gospel? How shall they hear? Would it be so enough if I would go to heaven, if my church would go to heaven, if my people would go to heaven and leave the beggar on the street there? Is it possible to go to heaven that way? Can a church go to heaven that way? How shall they preach if they are not sent? Can we send our people to this country? Can we put in our time? Can we give our money to God to do that work? How many of the fruits are ripened? The fields being destroyed. Jesus saw the multitude and he was moved with compassion. Today, if you're sitting there wanting for a healing, or if you've been sitting here tormented by a tormenting spirit, seek first the kingdom of God. That will be added. Total redemption is not only in the soul, but also in the body. If God would deal with you and he would deal with sin now at this moment, it is so possible he will also deal with your diseases now, because it is in the atonement, and there is total redemption of the soul and total redemption of the body. It's the human body as a whole that will be redeemed, the soul and the body, the sickness and the sin. If you seek the kingdom of God first, if you and I can take a decision today to reach out to that people, if we all could gather together as one family and move out to those people in the world. Can we make that decision today? Can we do something for those people having no clothes? Have you ever thought about them? Can we stand in the gap for them? As often as we meet together like this as a group, as one family, many tribes and tongues and nations, can we stand in the gap? Give those people clothes to wear. They are naked there, do you know? There are so many people who have no food. At this very moment, small children, hungry. Have you seen their intestines like that? Have you seen their ribs gone inside? They have deformed hands. They are just there in the desert sands. No one to pass by to give them a small piece of bread. Their children have not eaten. And I want to give my child a food 3 times daily and a healthy food. I plan it so well that my children receive my food. There is one there sitting. There is a group of people sitting. They have no food for days and days and days. They are just seeking there would somebody pass by and give them a piece of bread into their hands. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Can you imagine your daughters and your sons there naked? There are people naked without clothes, girls without clothes. You and I could take a decision today in the presence of God. There is one purpose for which I live and I breathe today. I put a hunger of souls into your hearts today. The women being beaten in their houses at this moment. The men drunkards getting in their houses at this moment, beating their wives. How many of the men have friendship with another lady? How many ladies are sitting there depressed, oppressed? The man went out. Have we thought about such people in the world? Have we ever thought? How many families broken, my dear brother? Broken, my dear sister. For in Ethiopia, you know the Eskimos? What are they doing at this moment? Do they have all they need? I am bringing your focus somewhere. Seek first the kingdom of God. Kingdom of God. People living in jungles. Do you believe there are people living in jungles? There are people living in jungles, my dear friends. There are people living in the trees, my dear friends. There are a lot of people in the northeast Indian part still living in jungle. Untold millions dying untold every day. And we are here gathering and worshipping God. The poor and the needy there. Can you give your people for that? Can we all in this country gather together? Move out together. Reach out together. In this country, can we do something? What's the purpose we are gathering here? Can we do that? Can we plan to do that? Could we organize to do that? Could we give our people to do that? And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. How could the end come? 2 billion people not heard the gospel. 2 billion people outside the gospel. And we are within the gospel. We are edifying ourselves. 2 billion people outside. How could Jesus the King ever come in this situation? Could he come today? Could Jesus come today? How could he come? That's exactly right. He said no. How could he come? 2 billion people still did not hear the gospel because the church did not do its work. Neither did the house did its work. It did not meet every day in the temple teaching and preaching Jesus Christ. How could Jesus come today? When would the church age end? Could we send our people? Could we do something in this country? Could we do something in this country? We are here for so many years. And God has trusted that you and I do something here. Sow a seed in this place. He is longing for the people of God in this place to unite together and stand together for one cause. For one cause. God is trusting you and me so much today. It is in our hands.